So rental number one for me, the one I bought during COVID, was my first duplex. All right, so I bought that for $245,000 up in Crestline. The agent, who was the listing agent, for those of you that went to my rehab class the other day, I would have fired him. He took basically, this guy was doing probably a 4-year rehab on this house, going way too crazy. This guy put in glass, like frosted glass closet doors on a $250,000 house in Crestline. And four bedrooms, 4 closets. He put frosted glass doors, like with custom hardware. I was like, dude, you're nuts. And beautiful crown molding, real hardwood floors, custom cabinets that had some dude's name signed in the side of them. This guy spent a fortune on this rehab. And then he hired an agent that literally went in there and went, to the point that it was 2 units. And in the pictures, because it was all the same finishes, it just looked like there was one kitchen. You couldn't even tell that, like, just the way he took the pictures, you couldn't even tell that there was 2 kitchens. You just look at a different angle of one kitchen. So I actually looked at this house on the MLS and just went right over it. And then, I don't remember if my mom showed it to me or if I just happened to see it later, but I was actually on the street looking at another house like 2 weeks before I saw it. So anyways, made an offer, we got the house, and I did what everybody did, does to us when I sell a house. I got a really detailed house inspection. I called the termite company that I know was super thorough, and I threw like a $20,000 request for repairs at him. And then I think he gave me 10 back. So I actually got it for like 2. I got it less than I offered. But then the country was shutting down, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy it because literally like the COVID was starting, and they were shutting Disneyland down. And so I came here and, well, not here, but I came to Zoom, because I think we were already on Zoom at that point, for IEREIC about 5 years ago now. And I asked Andy and some of the other guys that used to run this place, and they asked me what the interest rate was, and like I didn't want to tell them for whatever reason. And they're like, is there a 2 in front of it? I was like, they're like, just buy it. So I was like, all right, fine. So I just bought it. I ended up living in the basement, and I rented out the top unit for everything to cover all the bills. So I lived in the bottom unit for free, and the upper tenant upstairs paid the mortgage, all the utilities, all that stuff. So that was my first one. It now cash flows $1,400 a month, but I do have a second on it at the moment, so it really only cash flows about half of that. But it was going well. Okay, so that one worked out. I refied that one actually a year later at 3 1/4. Okay, and I took out $60,000. So I put $20,000 in to buy that house as a down payment. I got $60,000 back out with a quarter increase in the rate. Took that $60,000 and put it down on rental number 2, which was now a triplex that I bought for $350,000. It was now 3 units in the same market, and so I moved to that house, lived there for 2 years, and then moved out to another house, which isn't going to be part of this presentation. We moved out to the next one, and that house still cash flows about $2,300 a month. So it's going good. It was going good. Did anybody not like those numbers? It's all in California. So you'd think I would just keep doing that, right? Right? Like, dude, it was going good. Why don't you just keep buying, multi-units in Crestline, right? Yeah. Right? Why don't you? I don't know. So, I saw a squirrel. So this was example number 1. So I got a house, picked up a house for $140,000. Yes, Miguel. What year was it? This is now 2022. About 22. Okay? No, this is about the beginning of 2022. Yep. Because I did it for about a year, and then I got this building right when it's part of the story. Okay, so I'm 2022. I'm mid-flip. I got this house for $140,000. It only needed like 60. Okay, and we were going to turn around and sell this thing for like $350 plus. Okay, we were going to make a lot of money on this house. 60 on the rehab. Yep. Okay, this mid-2022 is like before everything really like got crazy. Okay, so about 350. The ARV was like 350 to 4. Okay, and it was just going up. So this is beginning of 2022. Okay, so we're mid flip. I'm about 80% there. We're about 80% done. Bring a friend with me to go check it out. And he takes one step in, and he's just spinning in circles going, dude, this thing would be awesome as an Airbnb, as a short-term rental. You make a grip of money. Like, it'd be totally killer. And I'm like, really? You think so? Like, oh, my God. Like, yeah? How much? And he's like, you know, I don't even remember what the numbers were, but it was enough that it was like I wasn't even thinking about hanging on to this house because it was only one unit, and I was into multi-units at that time. Okay? So I should have just cut the thing in half and made it 2 units. So I stopped and I said, all right. So, well, if we're gonna do an Airbnb, then we got to have another bathroom. We gotta upgrade the flooring. We gotta upgrade this. We gotta do that. And next thing you know, that $60,000 became about $100,000 because we ended up adding a bathroom. I doubled the price of the floor. So this went from being an FHA level flip of bare, not bare minimum, but like just clean, safe. All you in my rehab class, like that level of a house for an entry level first time home buyer. Okay, to now we're going for the upper market of Airbnb and Crestline. Okay, which isn't that hard, but. So again, we put in new floors, so an extra about $30,000 in like unplanned upgrades from the original budget, and then I wasn't planning on buying this house because I was just basically going to keep doing the same thing. I'd wait a year. Excuse me. I was buying these things as a primary, so I'd wait a year and then I'd just buy the next one as a primary and just keep doing that. That was my plan. Okay. So, but this one came along, and now all of a sudden I just bought the duplex, or excuse me, the triplex within the last year, so I couldn't do a primary on this one now. So now I got to buy this one as an investment, which means I got to put 20% down. Okay, so now not only have I put more money in the rehab, now when I go to refinance and actually buy it, and to kind of back up a second so you understand this, Evan and I used to flip under a company. Okay, that I acted as an owner of, but I wasn't on the paperwork. Okay, so I didn't own the house. Okay, his company did. So I was buying the house from his company. Okay, so to put 20% down, and actually now I had to pay the company back all the money I just put into it. I had to now buy this place for $400,000. Okay, which still made the company $105,000. So I took, which I got paid a part of. So I took that, had to put $60,000 cash down on the house to close. Okay, and then, that's not it. Anybody had an Airbnb before? Furniture? Stephanie, tell me. So, what do you have to put into an Airbnb?
Oh, furniture. Decor, furniture, kitchenware.
Forks, knives, appliances, soap, towels.
Yeah, all appliances, fridge, laundry, linen.
You know what also I was convinced to do? Towels, cleaners, appliances that I would normally buy, and now they got to be upgraded. Oh, yeah. Okay, so as I'm about done, so I'm putting all this stuff in. God, it's just the. So then the same friend that said this would be great, you know what would also be great? If you have hot tub, yep, he said hot tub, into the back of a mountain, and then we couldn't get the crane to fit, so my guys threw it on a sled and pulled it up a mountain. That was a hat trick. And he thought it'd be really, really cool if all of the lights were on smart dimmers. So, no, actually. So all the outlets I'd already just paid to have put in, I said, you know what, you're right. It'd be really easy to, we could like get the mood going, we want speakers in the ceiling so Alexa can play some jazz or whatever the hell. So I spent a lot of freaking money, about another $30,000-$40,000 kitting that house. I never looked at the actual total receipt. I just told my accountant, don't tell me. Okay? And the accountant was me, so I just never added it up. I just said, I don't want to know. So after all that, hot tub, blah, 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 got it all in. We launched We had like 30, 40 stays over like 7 months. All 5-star reviews. The guests were always happy. But the back end management of it was, bad. I still felt like I was managing it. They were the friend that was going to manage it was hanging on by a thread, in multiple assets of their business that I didn't know going into this, and this was just not what I wanted to, not the plan. So it actually did really well during the Christmas season that year. We think it was like $8,000 in a week. So it did well. Like, it actually all worked. The market and everything that we were targeting, it went very well. But the amount of time, uh-oh. No, it wasn't. I didn't click that. The amount of time. I had my dad and my stepmom that came in and helped me. We put like beadboard up in the kitchen, and they added more. And they put money into it too. Like, they wanted it to, so they were bringing stuff and giving me stuff. And I was there for probably, after I did the whole rehab, I was there probably another 2 months before we got it all kitted out and brought everything in and blah, blah, blah. I put a lot of time and effort and sweat and tears and blood into this house, okay? Like, more than I had ever put into any other house in my life, okay? And basically a year later, about 7-8 months later, it was very clear that the management chops were not where they had been expressed, and we went our separate ways there, okay? And that's right around the time that I met Caitlin back there. And she, begrudgingly or willingly, I'll never know which, she's like, we could do this. And I was like, oh, shit, here we go. We might as well start a restaurant. So we shut it, and this was one of the other things too, is like I wanted to, if you ever start an Airbnb, have your own listing, okay? Like, the list, you own the listing. Don't let your management company own the listing. I should have stuck to my guns on that one. That would have helped immensely. So we had to shut down his listing, and then I had to restart from scratch, okay? So I had to relaunch everything, all the metrics, all the data, all the blah, 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 all over again from scratch. Okay, so we did that. We put together a whole plan. We had in the first month, and we just went ham on it, and we did one-day stays. Okay, we wanted people in turn and reviews. So we had like 16 or 17 guests in 1 month, all with 5-star reviews. That got us through January. We were going on a cruise in February, and we got a midterm rental for like $3,700. That was going to be there for 3 months, like all the way through to the summer season, which is actually the better season in Crestline. And right the day before the second to last Airbnb guest was in there, the cleaners came in, and we had a storm, and a tree had fallen on the house, and one of the limbs of the tree was sticking out through the roof in the living room. And I didn't put any pictures in. I should have. And it was only part of the tree, thank God. But so we shut it down. I canceled the midterm, and we went on a cruise to the Bahamas for a week, and then came back. We were home for a week, and then we had Snowmageddon up in the mountains a couple of years ago, and had like 12 feet of snow. Okay, and no power. So I'm kind of happy that I didn't have to deal with having like a midterm guest during that storm. But by the time all the snow melted, and I had the roof fixed before the tree chopped off and the roof fixed, like right before we went on the cruise, so I didn't have to worry about the snow. But we literally came back from the cruise. The storm happened, and then so it was like a month now, almost a month and a half since the tree dropped on it, and I had to do an insurance claim and do all that crap, and found a lot about insurance. That's a whole tangent. I won't go into that. Ask me someday about what your actual your loss of rents really means. Okay, it's not what you think. So we were about to start back up again, and we had, so also in January, guess what we did? In January of 2023. I signed the lease for this building. Okay, so basically I was trying to get this place off the ground, trying to get an Airbnb off the ground. all at the same time. And I said, screw that, and I let the Airbnb go for all of you. So you're welcome. I'm just kidding. So no, so we were going to start back up again, and I was just like, I can't do that. We were doing all the turns ourselves. We were going in there and cleaning it, doing everything like that because we couldn't find a reasonable person in Crestline. All the management companies wanted, like, we wouldn't make any money at that point of what they wanted. And so I said, all right, well, we're just going to put it up for rent. And I'm going to put it up, like, higher than I think we're going to get. And we got it. I put it up for, like, $28.95. I think we ended up getting $27.95 a month. And my mortgage was, like, all in was, like, $2,400. So I went from insanely intense management to moving in a new renter. They moved in, like, a month later. I started cash flowing about $230 a month. Which is, I mean, all the money I had in for the furniture and all that, that place will never cash flow. Let's put it that way. So the new renters moved in. I talked to them 3 times in the almost 2 years that they lived there, and it was fantastic. So I ripped all the furniture, all the decorations, everything out of that house. I turned around, got serious about lighting it on fire, and then just said, what's that? Yeah, we moved it all to our house, so I got really nice stuff in my house now. If you really want really super nice furniture and forks and shit that you think you'd never spend money on, just start an Airbnb, and then, you'll eventually get it. So anyways, lesson learned there. There's no way you'll talk me into doing a short-term rental again. If you want to talk me into I'll rent you my house. You can do a short-term rental, because I probably sold you on it at this point. But I'm good. What's that? Yeah, right. I did. You told me to go for it. All right, so that was example number 1. That was shiny object number 1. That was a squirrel. Okay. The next example is that one took a lot out of me. I got to tell you 2 more. I got to relive this. All right, yeah. Just we're letting all the demons. All right, so example number 2, how I took a really, really good deal and turned it into a really shitty one. Okay, so about a year and a half ago, somewhere around there, friend of a friend in the club comes to me. She bought a house in Running Springs a few years back, and she also bought a house in Redlands about 6 months before that. Okay, so now she's got 2 houses. She's got 2 houses that she's paying a $3,000 a month mortgage on. So she's got like $7,000 worth of mortgages, and she's not, a landlord. Okay, so, and she found this agent up in the mountains that convinced her to not do anything to the house. And it's got like the original finishes. It's got the carpet has pee stains from dogs, throughout it. It's the original carpets. It's the original ugly yellow countertops. It's like original everything from when the house was built in like 85. Okay? So it's also 40 years old, and it's old as hell. Okay?